All right, so the show is about to begin, and I am going to set up the stream with KCOH 1230 so that we can hear Dr. Winnie King's show, call-in radio show live. So, Dr. King's background is in emergency medicine, conventional medical care with wellness services, aging, hormone deficiencies. The core of the practice is traditional medical care. She's conventionally trained. She's a conventionally trained wellness doctor with a holistic approach to care. So let's see what's going on at KCOH 1230. And the source, here we go.
The classic
Pretty soon.
Friday afternoon, July 29th at 3.
Right, not yet.
1230 The Source.
Hello, this is Fred Horton coming to you from Bayfield.
Pause it right now. Last week I got a copyright infringement. So I'm learning about YouTube, and we're not necessarily trying to monetize this, only capture some of the great wisdom of Dr. King. And I've been wanting to record the show and get some of the information and really go back and listen to it. It's been so helpful for me. And we've had people call in, comment on our YouTube channel wanting more information. So that's been a lot of fun too. So thank you guys. And we're going to see where we are now. It should be time.
6,000. Brock Johnson
Almost.
and Bayshore Chrysler Jeep Dodge in Baytown.
Call Brock Johnson at Bayshore Chrysler Jeep Dodge at Baytown, 281-421-6000. Get a quick deal on a new
One of these
Chrysler
days
Jeep
I won't
Dodge,
stumble upon the introduction. I should just say it out of my head rather than trying to read it. Usually that comes out a lot better.
KCOH Houston, Legacy, Civics, and Soul.
Love this station.
1230 The
I'm going to
Source.
turn this way up. Shut the studio door.
All right, 1230, The Source. We're here, Daddy. We're working with the heat today. And I, who I've never known for my rapid and robust movements during times of heat, I am moving at the proverbial snail's pace today. But I've made my way over here to Dr. Winnie King. Yes, indeed. So let me give you all that you do at the great introduction with the voice of Don Sam. And so we're getting underway.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Winnie King, and I want to invite you to my show, The Dr. Winnie King Show, every Friday from 1 to 2 p.m. We're going to talk about everything that has to do with your health and wellness on 1230 KCOH The Source. Hi, everyone. I'm Dr.
All right, we are 1230. So we're here. This is the one time we're cold. We're coming in with a cold opening. How are you? Hello, Dr. King.
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
We're good. We're good and glad to see you.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here, and thank all of you for listening to the show today. You are listening to the Dr. Winnie King Show, and I am Dr. King, and we're going to talk about whatever you would like to talk about always. And so if you have a question, this is a great time to call. The number is 713-668-1230. Again, that's 713-668-1230. There's no such thing as a silly question. Whatever you want to talk about is fine with me. And there's so many things going on right now in the world until I know you guys have questions. So if you've got one, now's a great time to call me, and I'll do my very best to answer all of your questions. And I have a few shout outs I need to give. I need to do a shout out to a lovely young little girl named Layla, who I believe is listening today. And she's a delightful young lady and just 8 years old. And she's going to be going back to school soon, which I know she's not excited about. But she's a very smart young lady, and I'm very grateful that she is listening to the show. And shout out to Larry and to all of my staff. I've got a great crew. Many of you have spoken to them because you called my office, and my office number is 936-224-7990. Again, that's 936-224-7990. 7990. A lot of the things that I talk about on the show are services that I provide or products that I sell, and so that's a great way for you to learn more about it by speaking to Sherry or Mady. I have Alex and Almisha there as well, and so if you have a question about the services, you can certainly call the office, and if you've got a question right now that you would like an answer to, you can call me. Again, the number is 713-668-1230. Now, last week I started talking about this new diet that's out there that's really exciting for those of us that treat patients and have patients that struggle with obesity, which is really, unfortunately, the majority of people. Some people are overweight, some people are obese, some people are morbidly obese, but the weight issue is something that seems to kind of plague just about everybody these days. And I think most people say, you know, I've gained and lost 1,000 pounds over the years with all the dieting that I've done. And it's frustrating. I lose the weight and then I gain it back and I lose it and I gain it back. Well, there's a drug out there now that's called semaglutide. And this drug is what is in the diabetes medication called Ozempic. It's also in another medicine called Rybelsus. Now, those two drugs, Ozempic, Rybelsus, they're used to treat type 2 diabetes, okay? Not type 1. Type 1 is the type where you need to take insulin. Type 2, typically you don't take insulin, although there are some type 2s that are so, their disease is so bad they need insulin too. But for the most part, type 2s don't need insulin. They take medications other than that. And Ozempic is a medication that has been used for type 2 diabetes. And you've probably seen the commercials for it. In the commercial, they will make the comment that, you know, it's great for your hemoglobin A1C. And that is a blood test that measures your average glucose over the last 3 months. And they'll also mention in the commercial that, oh, you might lose a little weight too. Well, that's absolutely true. What researchers found was that Ozempic causes you to lose weight. And so they said, well, why is that? And what can we do to help people lose even more weight? So they did some research on semaglutide, and they found that if they give doses that are even higher than what are in the Ozempic pens, because it actually comes as a pen that you use to inject yourself with, that they used doses that were even higher than that the weight loss was even greater. And that over the course of a year, folks were losing anywhere from 15 to 20% of their body weight. Now, that's pretty significant. If you weighed, say, 200 pounds, you could lose 40 pounds and get down to 160 pounds. And depending upon your body shape and all, that might actually put you in the healthy zone. So that's what's so exciting about that medication. It was manufactured and sold under a brand name called Wegovy, and that's spelled Wegovy. Wegovy. However, it's extremely expensive. It really runs anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 a month, and most insurances don't cover it. So it's not something that's easily accessible to most people. However, there are a few doctors, and I happen to be one of them, that are able to get hold of this semaglutide in a different form where it's mixed with some vitamin B12, and we're able to use it in a diet program at a much lower amount than at a much lower cost than Wegovy. And so we have just launched this program in my office. There's only a few doctors around that know about it and that are using it in that way. And so I'm just so excited about this. Now, here's the good news. You don't need to be a diabetic in order to take this semaglutide. It doesn't appear to drop your blood sugar, even if you have a normal blood sugar. But what you do need to be is overweight. You need to have a BMI of 30. Or you need to have a BMI of maybe 27, but have other problems like high blood pressure or diabetes or high cholesterol. And that really pretty much grabs most all people that are struggling with their weight. So this is a very exciting program, and the injection is once a week. And to start out with, I'd have you come to my office. Eventually, we can just have it mailed directly to you, but I want to get you started on it. There are some other things you need to know about it. There's some side effects with it. They're pretty tolerable, but I think we have a caller on the line, do we? Okay, so let me take our first call, and then I'll come back and talk more about the semaglutide. Hey, caller, how are you?
How are you doing, Dr. King?
Hey, I'm good. I can't quite hear you, though. Let's see if we can get the volume turned up a little bit. Go ahead and speak to me.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Not really. I don't know why we're not able to hear too well.
Okay, caller, you're just gonna have to speak
I'll
up.
call back.
Well, try speaking up. I can hear you now. Are you hearing
Oh,
me?
well,
I'm not hearing in here. Let's see.
really? Hey, look.
Let's see.
Dr.
I think
King.
we're making some adjustments here so I can hear.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. All right, go ahead and speak to me.
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, that's much better. I got you. Okay.
As you know now, Dr. King, some of us, we trust every word you say. That's the gospel.
Oh.
So I had to ask a question. You know, we had one of our presidents, when he got in trouble, he said, oh, I got COVID-19. And so our other president, he got in trouble, and he said, oh, I got COVID-19. Yeah. But, so Dr. King, and so the first president, he has already photograph of all of his doctors and stuff, but I didn't see this, no doctors for this next president. But the question really is, Dr. King,
Yes.
are we gonna have any more free COVID-19 vaccines, or now are we gonna have to pay? I mean, you know, I know you go behind lines and they say, Dr. King, we're gonna send you a million doses of COVID-19.
Well,
is it gonna happen or not?
the vaccine is currently free. And if you go to a local pharmacy, Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, they will provide that vaccine to you at no cost. And I have not heard anything that's going to change. I think that this is such an important issue until they don't want cost to be something that would be a barrier. This is a public health issue. And so we want anyone who is willing to be vaccinated to get vaccinated. And we don't want cost to be an issue. Now, if you go to the pharmacy, they may ask you about your medical insurance status, because they may try to submit a bill to your insurance company for it, but the cost will not be passed on to you. And the government pays these pharmacies for delivering that vaccine. So they're not doing it for free. They're getting paid. But if you walk in and you have absolutely no health insurance, this vaccine will not be withheld from you. Now, the really good news, you brought up the issue of the COVID-19 vaccine in two different presidents. The first president who came down with it was former President Donald Trump. And he was not vaccinated at the time. We didn't even have the vaccines available back then. And he became very, very ill. And it really came out later that he was way sicker than what he and his people let on. That at one point, they were actually thinking of putting him on a respirator. He developed some very serious respiratory problems. He was transferred over to Walter Reed Army Medical Center in Bethesda, Maryland, which is where all the presidents get their medical care. And that's an excellent facility. I grew up in that area, and so I'm very familiar with Walter Reed. I actually used to go there as a little girl to get my care. My dad is a retired Air Force colonel, so we were military people. And so I'm very familiar with Walter Reed. Stellar care, and he got the very best. And at the time, all they had were those monoclonal antibodies. And so that's what they gave him, and that's what saved him. It literally turned things around overnight, him getting that monoclonal antibody cocktail that they put together. And then, of course, you saw him the next day, and he was walking around, acting like Superman and taking his mask off and all that kind of stuff. But it was the monoclonal antibodies that saved him, because he was very, very sick. I mean, he's the kind of person who is not a good candidate. Nobody is to get COVID, but I mean, he was the kind of person, he's overweight. He's not generally in good overall health. And so these are people that tend to not do very well. Now, with our present President Joe Biden, he recently tested positive for COVID. However, he's been vaccinated twice and he's been boosted twice. So that means he's got antibodies floating around in his blood. Now, just because you're vaccinated, it doesn't mean that you can't get exposed to the virus and contract it, test positive for it. But the difference is that now you have antibodies in your blood. So when they sense that virus, they go after it. And so you've got an army floating around in your blood programmed for COVID, looking for COVID. And so when you become infected, exposed to it, now your body is in a position to fight off that infection. And so that's why people like him. And, I think about a month ago, Barack Obama came out having tested positive. It's a mild disease for them, a real runny nose, a headache, a mild cough for a week or so, and then they're fine. That's the difference. And I want to make that point because a lot of people think that just because you get the vaccine, it means you can't ever get COVID. That's not true. You can still get exposed to it. You can still test positive, but you're not going to get overly sick from it. The duration of your illness is going to be way shorter and your symptoms are going to be very mild. And so that's the real benefit. And that's why I encourage people to get that vaccine. Okay, let's go to our phone lines. We've got our next caller on the line. Hi, caller. How are you?
Okay, Dr. King, I have a twofold question about dieting. Okay, I noticed in the past when I try to eat right, not really diet, but just try to eat 3 square meals a day, no in-between snacks. And I noticed this in other people too. Why are we so irritable? Is it because we stay hungry all the time? Or is that just something in your mind? That's the first part.
Well, irritability can be caused by a lot of things. So certainly if you have a low blood sugar, that can make you kind of irritable. You feel hungry, your brain is getting starved of nutrition. And so that could make you irritable. People who have low hormone levels can also become very irritable, just not feel well, and kind of a short fuse. So it's just like saying, why do I have shortness of breath? Or why do I itch? It's like there are a million things that could cause it. So it's hard to, without more information, to know. But certainly if you're not eating properly and you're not getting good nutrition and your blood sugar drops, that can certainly make you irritable.
Yes, ma'am, because I'm saying, like, if I eat breakfast at 7 a.m., a decent breakfast, and then I hold right for 1 o'clock, I'm really irritable because I'm so hungry. But, you kind of explained it. But for my second question, okay, no matter if I go on a diet on my own, it's going to take discipline for me to really follow that diet if I go on my own. So I've had several friends who have asked me about the gastric bypass. What was my opinion? And I told them it's going to take discipline to do that, but you're going to have to pay a whole lot of money when you can keep the money in your pocket and do it on your own. It's going to take the same discipline. So can you kind of break that down? Would you suggest people get a gastric bypass? And I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, Doc.
You're quite welcome. All right, that's an excellent question. When it comes to gastric bypasses, this is a surgical procedure that it gets involved in your GI tract, and it can either make your stomach smaller, or it can change the way in which food is passed through your gastrointestinal system. But the bottom line is that it's significantly reducing the amount of calories that you can take, and it's doing it in a mechanical way. So that your body, your stomach is sometimes the size of like your fist. It's like a pouch. And so what that means is that your calorie restriction is being imposed on you because your stomach is made smaller. You literally cannot put but only so much food in your stomach because of the size. There's a gastric sleeve, there's the bypass, there's several different approaches to accomplishing essentially the same thing. When you overeat, you find that you vomit. It comes back up again because your body has mechanically and structurally been changed so that it can only handle a certain amount of food at a time. Now, this is a procedure that will bring about weight loss. Without a doubt, you have no choice. It's just like if you were kidnapped and made a prisoner somewhere and you didn't have access to food, you're going to lose weight because you're not getting, the food. In this case, you're not able to eat the food. But what it does not address are the psychological factors that go into overeating. And so any program that involves a gastric bypass or any kind of, we call it bariatric surgery. That's the medical term for it. It's called bariatric surgery. Any of those programs should also involve the services of a dietitian, a nutritionist, and even a psychologist to help you change the person that you are in your way of thinking and your approach to food, so that when you're in this new state, you psychologically, emotionally, spiritually are able to be that person that the surgeon has just turned you into. If not, you will eat your way back up. And I've seen people do that. I've seen people lose over 100 pounds, and then after a couple of years, they gain it all back again because they never really embraced the psychological part of changing the way they eat. And so what they do is they just eat all day. You know, you may not be able to eat much at a time, but you just keep eating all day until you find you sort of force feeding yourself, and you end up gaining all that weight back. And what a shame to have spent so much money, because the vast majority of people wind up having to pay out of pocket. There are a few cases where they can negotiate with your medical insurance for coverage, but often people have to pay this out of pocket. And what a shame to fork over so much money and then after a couple of years to be right back where you were before, but also being altered internally in a way that's permanent. So, you know, that's the thing to think about. Now, I had mentioned in the first part of the show about this medication called semaglutide, which is was originally manufactured and sold as a diabetic drug. However, in higher doses, it's been found to be a very, very effective weight loss drug. And the comment that's being made is that it's getting results that's very similar to bariatric surgery, but without the surgery. So that's what's very exciting about this. This drug does several things to you. It's an injection, and it's a very small injection. It uses a tiny little needle, just like an insulin needle, and it goes right under your skin. You just do it once a week. That's it, just once a week. We start you on a low dose, and we gradually titrate you up to the therapeutic dose. What it does is that it's called a GLP-1 agonist, and you'll need to ever think about that again. But there are certain receptors in your body that are receptors for that GLP-1. And what those things control is your appetite, your sense of fullness, how quickly your stomach empties food into your small intestine when you eat. Those receptors control that. And so what semaglutide does is it stimulates, it goes to those receptors. And so it artificially gives you a feeling of fullness, even when you're technically not full. It will take away your desire to eat. It will slow down how quickly food leaves your stomach so that you feel full. Now, because of its effect on your stomach, on your GI system, that's where the potential side effects are. But honestly, most people are willing to live with it because of the massive weight loss. But what you will experience to some degree, some more than others, is a little mild nausea. Because now you've got that feeling in your stomach, like you've just eaten Thanksgiving dinner. You know, we've all had those meals, but we've eaten way more than we should have, you know. And now we're sitting in the chair saying, "Oh, just shoot me now," you know. I just can't stop eating, and I just feel like a beached whale, you know. That's the kind of feeling that you'll get from this medication after just eating just a little bit of food. And what you'll find is that you'll make a plate of food the way you used to in the past, but you won't be able to finish it. You'll get that feeling of fullness very early in the eating of that food. And so you're going to start eating fewer and fewer calories. And that's really the way it works. So the side effects are really more GI. It's more nausea. Some people get like some cramping, a little diarrhea. What you will find is that if you eat more than your body is now telling you to eat, you will see that food again, okay? Now, you're going to see it either coming out of your mouth or you're going to see it in the toilet because your body has been changed, even if it's just temporarily, in a way that's almost like that bariatric surgery, except it's not surgery. And now you're finding that you just can't eat as much food. Now, here's what you have to work on. Getting your mind ready for not eating as much food as you used to, because we're all used to eating food, and we're used to eating at a certain time of day, and we're used to eating a certain amount, and so now when you bite into a hamburger and after 2 bites you're kind of done, what are you going to do? Are you going to force yourself to eat the rest of that hamburger, or are you going to put it down? Yes.
Okay, so what happens, since we're talking about these diets, there's something I noticed that seems to be my personal saboteur, perhaps. What about when you're dieting and it's going well? Although let's say you've actually changed your diet so that you eat better, something will come like a medicine. I may change medicines. I've had this happen. My medicines require me, on the bottle it says, to take food with this medicine, and I don't feel like eating at that time. I've taken metformin on an empty stomach, carvedilol on an empty stomach, and I feel better taking it on an empty stomach, though I know
you're supposed to.
So how does that work?
You can certainly take, just time your meals with your medicines, so that when you do eat, if it's a medicine that you're supposed to take with food, that's when you take it. Some medicines you're supposed to take on an empty stomach. So it just kind of depends on what your regimen is. But even if it's just a few bites, of food, just to kind of coat your stomach.
I used to like toast, toast, fruits.
Yeah, fruits are fine.
They are.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
I worry about if I'm damaging my liver or something by not eating.
No, by and large, some of these medications are known to be irritating to the stomach, and so that's why they'll tell you. So they'll tell you, go ahead and have some food. It kind of buffers, a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever made the mistake of taking a handful of vitamins on an empty stomach. But after about 30 minutes, you'll see them again too.
I know that can be done.
So it's that same kind of thing. It just kind of helps to allow your body to absorb it without getting that nausea that some people will experience when they take food on an empty stomach. But if you've got a question about weight loss, about the semaglutide diet, give me a call. The number is 713-668-1230. Again, that's 713-668-1230. By the way, the cost for this is about $125 a week. It works out to $500 a month, which is way cheaper than $1,500 a month. And, it comes with all of the support that you need, prescription medicines for nausea, if you need that. And also, if you need an appetite suppressant, which most people don't, but that prescription can also be sent in for you. But this works really well, and we're very excited about this class of medication being used for weight loss, because this just sort of opens up a brand new frontier when it comes to weight loss. We've really struggled with finding a product that is going to really help people control their weight. And this one is a good one. Now, the only people who really shouldn't be on this are people who have any kind of thyroid problem, like a history of thyroid cancer or some kind of endocrine problem with your thyroid. Other than that, this is a perfectly safe drug to take and highly, highly effective. If you can imagine, you just figure out what your weight is right now and take 15% of that off. That's pretty amazing. Most weight loss medications are going to maybe give you 2 to 5% if you're fortunate. So that's pretty significant. Okay, we've got a caller on the line. Let's go to our next call. Hey, caller, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Dr. King, I'm taking glipizide for type 2 diabetes.
Yes.
The mine stay high. You think I need to switch to something else?
What is your glucose run?
Last time they checked it, it was about 300 probably, and then they give me I went and had an eye procedure done, and you put me insulin and went down to 202, but I don't take insulin.
Yeah. So you're just taking glipizide right now?
Yeah.
How long have you been on it?
About 3 years, 2 years.
Okay. And it's always stayed high like that?
Yeah, last time I went to see my heart doctor, it was high.
Yeah, well, it sounds like we need to look at another type of treatment for you with your diabetes. Now, what about your diet? How do you eat? What's your diet?
I'm all right. I weigh about 187.
187? Okay. And what kind of foods do you eat?
Well,
Tell the truth.
I will bring that white rice and all of that. And I just eat the normal stuff with my wife,
Yeah. Okay. Well, when it comes to a diabetic diet, the things that are processed tend to be high in sugar, and those are going to drive up your blood sugar. And so, I think sometimes we as doctors don't do a good enough job of helping patients with type 2 diabetes understand that the medicine is not the cure. It is just something that's really designed to try and bring your blood sugar down, but the ultimate cure is in your diet. It's in the way in which you eat, because that's where the sugar is coming from. And so if you don't understand, if you haven't been instructed as to what the right foods are for a diabetic, then you're sort of swimming upstream. The glipizide is trying to correct a problem, but you're putting gasoline on it with your diet. And so the things that diabetics typically get in trouble with are breads, rice, pasta, corn, pies, cakes, cookies. Those are the kind of things that don't even really require to be refrigerated. That's really one of the ways you can tell if it's something that's going to be a high sugar, high carbohydrate product, if it doesn't need to be refrigerated. If it's something that's refrigerated, then that typically is a fruit or a vegetable or a meat. And fat is really, when you eat meat, that's where you get most of your fat. And fat really doesn't have an impact on your blood sugar, believe it or not. It's the carbohydrates, which are the breads, the rice, the pasta, the corn, the white flour, biscuits, cookies, pies, Does any of that sound familiar? Yeah.
So what I need to do is just stay off this stuff here, right?
Yeah, the white bread, the white flour, pies, biscuits, cookies, all of the stuff that just sounds so heavenly that we'd all love to have. That's what your body will take in and break down and process as a sugar. And so you're not handling the sugar very well. Now, it doesn't sound like you have a weight issue, so that's not what this is. This is just something internally with you that when your body is presented with a load of carbohydrates, that it doesn't handle it very well. And your insulin is not working as well as it's supposed to. That's what these medications are designed to do, to help make your insulin work better. But for some reason, it's not working. And so the other alternative, and it's really the right alternative, the healthy one, is to cut back on the sugar. So, and so the way you do that, people think of sugar as just like table sugar, like just sugar the white sugar. But that's not the only kind of sugar. That's a simple sugar. There are tons of other sugars, like the breads, the rice, the pastas, the cookies, pies. All of those are loaded with sugar. And so that's how diabetics will sometimes get in trouble. I have a lot of diabetics in my practice, and when we sit down and really talk about food and what is the right thing to eat, what isn't, that's when they really start to see, I've been feeding my body sugar and I didn't realize that I was, because I was drinking Diet Cokes and Diet Sodas, and I thought that I was taking all the sugar out. But yet I was eating pasta. I love pasta. I'm eating, pasta, and I have a biscuit, and there you go. That's your sugar right there. So the best way for you to eat as a diabetic, and it's not to say that you can never have, anything like that, but you need to understand the impact on your blood sugar and to significantly modify it. If you want to have a bite out of a piece of pie every now and then, okay, but you're not going to have a lot of that, because that's going to blow your blood sugar up. And so what you want to do is to eat lots of vegetables, and you want to eat plenty of fruits, and you can have lean meat. But when you look at your plate should be 3/4 vegetables and only 1/4 meat. And you want the meat to be lean. And that's only because, even though fat doesn't affect your blood sugar per se, it does affect your cholesterol, And so we want you healthy overall. But that's really the best way to eat. There's a movie on, there's actually 2 movies that I tell my patients to watch on Netflix. Do you have access to Netflix? Yeah, most people do. Yeah, there's 2 movies. The first one is called What the Health. And that's spelled Health. What the Health. And
Okay.
the other one is called The Game Changers.
Oh, okay.
Okay, those are two really good movies to watch, and they're both located on Netflix. What the Health and The Game Changers. And
What I'm trying to do, you think the glyphosate is supposed to be working, right?
well, yes, it's doing what it's going to do, but let's see what you can do with your diet.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to worry about the money. If it ain't working, I'm going to come see you.
Okay, well, I'm here, and I'll help you in any way that I can. But I want you to watch those movies. You're going to be amazed at the value of a simple diet. You know, what I tell my patients by and large is, listen, if you can't tell me everything that's in that, don't eat it. Okay? So,
Okay, where are you located?
oh, I'm in Houston. I'm off 1960. Let me give you my office number. Do you have pen and paper?
Yeah.
Okay, the number is 936
Uh-huh.
224
224.
7990.
Okay, 7990. You do take Medicare, huh?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. It's good talking to you. You take care of yourself. All right, let's take our next caller. Hey, caller, how are you? Hello there. Can you hear me? Hello, caller. Can you hear me? Oh, I guess we lost him. Okay, let's take our next call. Hey, caller.
Hi, Dr. King.
Hi.
I thought you were talking to me actually just then, and I'm talking, and I'm like taking my mute button. But I put down the two movies
Yes.
from Netflix that you just mentioned. However, rice. I didn't know that rice was a turn into sugar.
Yes, it's a carb. You eat a lot of
Oh,
rice?
wow.
Mm.
I do, and I not pasta, but rice.
Mhm. We all have something, you know. Some people they can't stay away from mashed potatoes. You know, some people it's noodles. You know, it's pasta. And so for some folks it's rice. A lot of it is like what you grew up with. You know,
Right.
what your family had. A lot of people have meat and potatoes. A lot of people have meat and rice. But just take a look at the box. You know, and you can just read the information, the nutritional information on it. That gives you some really good guidelines. Now, a serving of rice is really a half a cup, believe it or not. And a half a cup is not that much. You know, most people eat about 4 cups.
Yeah.
You get a big old scoop, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's delicious, you know. I totally get it. But unfortunately, it's giving you a load of carbs that is going to, if you are diabetic, it's going to push you over. Now, there's some cultures where people eat rice and that's all they eat. And they don't seem to have the problems we have.
Right.
Genetically, they are different than we are. And that's just the way it is. But with us, with the American genetics and the lifestyle, it appears that there's a significant number of people that really have problems when they're getting that much carbohydrate in their diet. It pushes them over into that either pre-diabetes or diabetic zone. So,
yeah, I'm pre.
Are you pre?
And yes, I'm pre, and I'm overdue for getting my
hemoglobin A1C.
A1C,
Yeah.
right? And so I'm on metformin right now, but
Okay.
I had no idea that rice. I like that rice, just naked rice, or
Ooh.
either the vegetable fried rice.
Yes. Yes, I totally feel you. Now, let me ask you this: what's your lifestyle like? Are you at your ideal body weight? Could you lose a few pounds?
No. Yes, and I'm coming into your clinic.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm just waiting on my insurance
Uh-huh.
to kick in.
All right, no problem. We'll get you taken
I'm
care of.
coming in. I'm supposed to go regarding the
Oh, I think we're losing her. Oh, yeah, we've got bad weather out there. I don't know. Can you hear me? Oh, here you are. Looks like you're back. Okay, I'm sorry, sweetie. We lost you for just a second.
Oh no, I was just saying I called a couple of weeks ago
Uh-huh.
regarding the diet program that
Yes.
you're picking up, as well as that chair. So
Oh,
I'll
yes.
definitely be in there. I'm just waiting for this insurance to kick in.
I got you. Yeah, I think that from the little bit that you told me about you, I think you would do really well on that diet. And
I think so.
you know, that would really, really help. I'm so excited about this diet because I think it's going to be a game changer for a lot of people. You know, there's so many folks that are not diabetic, but they're pre-diabetic, and they don't know they're pre-diabetic. And so they're walking around and they're thinking that they're good, but they're not. And you know, you're the perfect person that we want to get a hold of before you turn into being full-blown diabetic.
Yeah, because I don't want to get there.
No, we don't want that for you. Oh, and I look forward to meeting you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I look forward to meeting you as well. Thanks, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. You do the same. That's great. You know, that's what's so exciting about this diet is that it's going to give you control. You know, I've had various diets over the years, but this is the one that I'm really the most excited for. First of all, it's FDA approved, so they've looked at it and they agree that this is an excellent diet and that it works. And the amount of weight loss is what's so exciting. I mean, you know, to lose 20% of your body weight, I mean, if you weighed 200 pounds and then all of a sudden after, you know, being on the program for several months, you're down to 160, that's fabulous. That is 40-pound weight loss is really, really major. And the only thing that you're really doing is just taking an injection once a week. And a simple injection, very small, not a painful one at all. And it's changing you internally in a way that's almost like bariatric surgery. And I've had a few of my patients that are heavy enough that they've been thinking about bariatric surgery, and now we have them on this program and they're losing weight. And that's so exciting. Even if they go on to have bariatric surgery, most of the time the surgeon will want to see you lose a few pounds before they operate on you, just because they want to know that you have some kind of self-control and that you're not just a runaway train when it comes to eating, because they want it to be successful as well. And if you can't control your eating, then they may actually opt not to perform the surgery on you. You've got to qualify. Just being overweight is not the reason. They need to make sure. But I do remember a surgeon who's a bariatric surgeon saying to me one time, you know, you really cannot cure obesity with a scalpel. You know, it's way more to it than that. It's more emotional and spiritual, psychological. And so all of those things need to be dealt with when you're trying to change something as massive as your body weight. Okay, yeah.
You had a caller who, well, you can go to this caller, and I'll remember the question, but you did have a caller.
Okay. All right, well, shall we take this one? And then okay. All right, hey, caller. Hi, how are you?
Hey, Doc, how are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Hey, back to this diet thing. A couple of years ago, you know, I gave up meat.
Okay.
And I just went strictly vegetables and beans and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I lost about 22 pounds.
Yeah.
But then I started having an affair with Little Debbie.
Oh.
And,
yeah, she's a sweet little thing, isn't she?
and so how do you curb the sweet tendency?
Well, that's hard. You know, especially if if you have a sweet tooth and you really, really, really like it. You know, I mean, Little Debbie. If you look on the nutritional information for Little Debbie, you know, it's like, oh, I'm telling you. Now, how is your health? Are you diabetic?
No, they say I'm pre-diabetic. Yeah, so like when I do check my sugar, because my wife is diabetic, so when I check my sugar, I'm like 123.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Well, how many Little Debbies are we talking about a day?
About 2.
2 Little Debbies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna have to have a little come to Jesus meeting about Little Debbie, because she will push you right on over into the diabetic zone. Now, the thing really to try and do, and everybody responds differently to different ways, but one thing that you can do, if you're willing to be disciplined enough, is to cut Little Debbie in half, and then cut her again into a quarter, and and you can have a quarter of a Little Debbie a day.
Yeah, well, she want to put the sugar in my coffee, because I don't put
sugar in my coffee.
Yes. Yeah, that's one way to deal with Little Debbie. Or that you can have a Little Debbie once a week.
All right.
I know. I wasn't what you wanted to hear, was it? No, but that sugar load is what's really going to push you over. And I understand, there are cookies out there that you can purchase if you go online and surf around that are low sugar cookies and that are sweetened with other things besides regular granular sugar. And they'll give you that feeling, like you are getting something sweet without actually getting all those calories. So you might want to try looking around and see if you could find a substitute. But if not, you could try the quarter Debbie or the once a week Debbie.
Oh, okay.
That'll make you enjoy it even more. When you just have it once a week, you could get yourself all excited, and then you have that Little Debbie, and then you're good. No.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, you take it easy. Thanks for calling. All right, let's take our next caller. Hi, caller. How are you? Hello.
Hello, caller. You're on.
Can you hear us? It might be the weather because we've got such lousy weather right now. But you said we had another call that had a question.
Yeah, that had a question on olive. The advantage of olive oil over others.
Yeah.
Frying.
For frying?
Yeah, for frying.
Olive oil is okay. Yeah, olive oil is fine. I mean, it's a very healthy oil. It's a monounsaturated oil. It's good. It's really more about the amount. And with olive oil, you have to be careful about not heating it too much because you could break down. But there's nothing wrong with olive oil. It's certainly better than corn oil or canola oil. I don't care for either of those. If you want to use that, you could also get monounsaturated oils, and those are available. I've actually seen them in the grocery stores these days. So there are some good oils out there like that will work fine. But olive oil is fine. Just make sure that you're not using don't go crazy with it. Just use a little bit. But there's some really good nutritional value to olive oil. Okay, we've got our next caller. Hi, caller.
Hello, Dr. King. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. I have a question regarding the adrenal gland.
Mm-hmm.
I know that we're talking about diabetes, so is it okay for me to ask about adrenal
sure.
gland?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how does malfunctioning adrenal glands affect your mood, your emotions? Is this kind of relative to anxiety attacks?
Uh-huh.
And how does it affect your mental if they're not functioning correctly? I also wanted to ask about if there is something wrong with the adrenal glands, they're not functioning properly,
Mm-hmm.
how long can this condition last if not treated, and what would the treatment be?
Okay. Well, the adrenal gland, sure. The adrenal gland is kind of a walnut-sized structure that sits on top of both of your kidneys. And it's a very important part of your body because it makes several things that we need. Some neurotransmitters, hormones, and it's a very, very important source of things like testosterone and estrogen, some of our neurotransmitters. And so if you have a problem with your adrenal gland, yes, you certainly could have some changes in your mood. It depends on, because it's responsible for several different things, it would depend on what the problem is. Some people have, and this is rare really, but an adenoma in their adrenal gland that could cause them to have some abnormality in the production of some of those things that I just mentioned. So in terms of how long it would last, really that's kind of a question that sort of depends. It depends on what the problem is, what the cause is of the problem, but it certainly could play a role. You may have heard that expression, adrenal fatigue, which is something that happens when the adrenal gland is being taxed and is trying to produce hormones and neurotransmitters and is not able to keep up. When you go through menopause, your ovaries will shut down the production of estrogen and testosterone. Believe it or not, your ovaries make testosterone and estrogen. And so your adrenal glands will try to pick up the slack. And so you'll see an increased production from your adrenal glands. And in some people, they will experience some kind of wiping out of the adrenal gland from that problem. And that's what we call adrenal fatigue. But The best way is with blood tests to measure those hormones, those neurotransmitters, to see exactly, you know, what's wrong, what's missing, and then from there, replacement therapy. If there's a tumor that's causing it, and of course that has to be addressed. Okay.
Oh, all right. Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. All right, let's take our next caller. Hey, caller, how are you?
Hello?
Hello there.
Yes, Dr. King.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. King, I have an impending biopsy of my prostate. What are the cons of that?
Well, okay, let me ask you, why are they doing a biopsy?
Because a spot was discovered on my prostate.
They do an
And I
ultrasound?
have no,
How did they discover the spot?
by manual manipulation.
So he did a rectal exam and
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and he felt like a lump, something abnormal.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So do you know what your PSA level is, prostate specific antigen level?
I have it, but I don't have it with me right now.
That's all right. Well, okay. When we find something that feels abnormal in the prostate, we want to know what that is. And so that's where a biopsy is indicated, to get an idea as to whether or not there's cancer or whether this is just what we call benign prostatic hyperplasia or an enlargement of the prostate. Have you had any difficulty with urination?
Yes, I have urination frequent.
You go a lot?
Yes.
Okay. When it's time for you to go, is it difficult for you to go? Do you find you have to really push to make the urine come out?
No, they asked me that. I don't have that problem.
Okay. That would be an indication of a prostate enlargement. So it sounds like that's not what's going on. All right. Well, they're absolutely right. The next thing to do is a biopsy, and that's just using a little needle and just getting a bit of that tissue so that they can look at it under the microscope and find out what's going on, where they feel that lump. The other thing that we follow is something called a PSA, or a prostate-specific antigen test. And anything less than 4 is considered normal, although if you were 3.9, I'd be worried, you know. But I'm sure that they've done that, and they'll be following that, you know, as well. But in terms of the cons, there's really not a lot other than, you know, mechanically, if they made an error or something went wrong. I mean, you may have a little bit of bleeding, but not much. It's the downsides are really minimal, and the upsides are huge, because we definitely need to know if you have a tumor, if you've got prostate cancer, because we can fix that, but we can't fix something that we don't know, you know, what's going on. So, yeah, I mean, that's the right thing to do. I know it's a little scary, and I know for men it's a little hard to admit that you're scared, because men aren't supposed to be scared, but it's completely normal to be a little apprehensive about it, but it will be okay. We just need to know what we're dealing with so that we can help you. So don't worry.
I have one last question. I'm a pre-diabetic, and I consume a lot of black beans every week.
Okay.
Is that a no-no?
Well, you know, black beans are great in the sense that they're loaded with fiber, and they're very low in fat. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, there are a fair number of carbohydrates in beans, but you know, the upside is the health benefits of beans. When you say that you're eating a lot, how much are we talking?
I said 2 or 3 times a week.
And how much do you have when you have them?
Maybe half a cup.
A half a cup? That's not bad. A half a cup isn't bad, but now, are you eating anything else with it? Like, are you having beans and rice?
A lot of vegetables, a lot of vegetables with carrots and greens.
Okay, that's all right. What about rice?
No rice.
No rice. Pasta?
None of that.
None of that? Okay. And how well is your blood sugar control? What does it run?
It was normal. Yeah, the last time I remember, it was normal. Yes, when they checked it. Yes.
Okay.
I forgot the numbers.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, as long as you're tolerating it, your blood sugar is okay, it's probably fine. I mean, because there's some real benefits to black beans. You know, I mean, it's a good thing to have just for the nutritional benefits of it. It's just that often we don't just eat beans. We eat beans with something else, and that's where we get in trouble. But if you're just eating the beans and a half a cup at a time, that's fine. That's no problem at all.
Great. Thank you, Doctor.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Thank you for calling. You know, this pre-diabetes and diabetes is just so rampant in our community. And it's something that, unfortunately, we haven't had a lot of options for. Tons of people on metformin. And some people don't tolerate metformin very well. You know, it does have some side effects, and they just don't tolerate it.
Yeah. I was surprised to learn that dairy, for some, I guess it shows up in different people in different ways. But that metformin had for some people, and it looks like I was one of them, had the unexpected benefit of, or the additional benefit of offering weight loss.
Yeah.
But I mean, they weren't. You know, it's like they ever had this.
Right.
I don't know what you call the effects they have. You know, when you can use a pill for one thing
and you get the benefit of another.
Right. You know,
exactly.
So I heard that about metformin, but after a while that seemed to stop.
Yeah. That's just so frustrating how that goes away. You know.
How that benefit.
Well, you know, anything that's going to stabilize your blood sugar is going to give you the potential benefit of weight loss, because that's really where the weight loss is. That's why the semaglutide works well in that regard, because it's really helping stabilize your blood sugar. It's raising your insulin level so that it's keeping your blood sugar down. It's reducing your glucagon level, which is something that would raise your blood sugar. So it's doing all the things that you want that favor weight loss. But you just have to be prepared that you're going to feel full and you're going to feel maybe a little nauseous, especially if you eat the wrong thing.
I was kind of going for that. I mean, you know, it's like sometimes if I had a cold, pre-COVID, if I had a cold, I'd take that moment to sort of, you actually reduce your stomach size, right?
You know, not really. That's more, that's, it feels that way, you know, right. Wouldn't that be nice if you could just shrink it down into nothing, you know? No, that's surgery. That is an actual bariatric procedure to mechanically make your stomach smaller. But you can, you know, teach your body to tolerate certain amounts of food. And that's really what's so, can be tough for people on these diets, is that they're used to eating a certain amount. And so if they don't eat that amount, they feel like something's wrong. I didn't eat enough food, you know, but they're full. And so that's the part that you have to get comfortable with. But if you want to know more about the semaglutide diet, call my office. My office number is 936-224-7990. I've got great staff there, Mady and Sherry. They'll answer your questions and help you to understand the program and how it works. It's a very straightforward program. You'll start very low so that your body gets used to it, and then you gradually increase. And you know, it's something that I think can be a game changer for people. You know, if you can get even 10, 15 pounds off of someone, metabolically, internally, amazing things are happening. And so that's why this is so important to me. I've got so many diabetics in my practice that are just being treated with medication and no dietary advice at all coming to them from their previous providers.
Once you lose that, doesn't it affect you so that conditions like apnea get better?
Yes.
Can you speak on that?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I have no idea how weight affects so many aspects.
Oh, my gosh. It really does. Well, everything. I mean, you know, even cancer is connected to obesity. But when it comes to sleep apnea, most people, if you sleep alone, you don't know you have sleep apnea.
Right.
Because you're just, you know, going for it and nobody knows. I have picked up sleep apnea and several of my patients who complain that they're tired. You know, they'll come to me and they're like, "Doc, I'm just really tired. I'm just tired. I'm driving and I feel like I'm going to fall asleep at the wheel. I'm driving." And so the next question is, do you sleep alone? And often they don't. You know, they're married or they have a partner. And I'll ask them, does your partner ever tell you that you snore a lot? And they're like, yeah, actually she does. She's always hitting me and telling me, wake up. So, okay, let's send you for a sleep study. because chances are you have sleep apnea.
That's how I found out.
Yeah. And sleep apnea is a condition whereby you get into this state where the upper airway falls over your windpipe, essentially. And so you stop breathing at some point during your sleep. Now, when you don't breathe, your oxygen level in your blood drops, your carbon dioxide level in your blood goes up. Because when you take a breath, what happens is that the oxygen goes into your lungs, it gets into your bloodstream, it travels to your tissue gives up the carbon dioxide that is the byproduct of the use of that oxygen, and then the oxygen goes in, the fresh oxygen goes into your tissue, that carbon dioxide goes into the veins of your system, and then you breathe it out, it goes out. And if you stop breathing in your sleep, all of that cuts off. So now you've got your oxygen level dropping, but now you've got that carbon dioxide that's in your blood that's supposed to be breathed out, but you're not breathing, so it builds up in your blood. That's a mechanism that tells your brain, we're getting ready to die. And so what it does is it makes you wake up. And so you'll get this kind of thing, and people will just suddenly wake up, That's, God put that in us so that we would not die, because you're not breathing. Your airway has fallen back over onto itself, and so you're not breathing. So when that happens, when you don't sleep well because you're going in and out of this half asleep, you're waking up, you're falling asleep, you're waking up, you don't go into that deep REM sleep. That's the sleep that your body needs. That's the sleep that refreshes you. And so the next morning, you roll out of bed, you get on the road doing what you're supposed to do, and you're tired because you never really had a good night's sleep the night before. And so you are just, it would be just like if you stayed up all night and then got up and tried to go to work. So what we do is we do a sleep study where we put you to sleep and we watch.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Right.
And they told you that you were positive?
Oh, yeah. Well, I had several interruptions. Now, fortunately, it wasn't as, I went to different centers, and when they came back, it turns out, fortunately, it wasn't as bad as initially thought.
Okay, good.
But I learned so much about the condition.
Yes.
And one of the things that happened in between those studies, I had lost
some weight. Yes.
Some weight. And during the REM movement, that rapid eye movement, sleep, it was better. It showed.
So you were showing improvement. And so see, you were healing yourself.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that needs to happen, is that weight loss is very helpful when it comes to sleep apnea. But we do have things that we can use, CPAP machines, that will help blow air into the back of your airway so that it keeps it open so that you can breathe. But weight loss often is the cure. When you do that, you can really help. But see, that's why obesity and the treatment of obesity is so critically important, because it's tied to so many things, sleep apnea, diabetes, cancer, all of these things. So, but oh my goodness, look what time it is. I can't believe it.
You talk this, you explain this, you make it so interesting.
Well, the human body is fascinating as well.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank all the folks that called in today with your questions. They were wonderful. Thank you so much. I love answering questions, and I wish all of you the very best. If there's anything I can do to help you, call my office. That number is 936-224-7990. And all of you guys, take care of yourself. Be safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
KCOH Houston Legacy, Civics and Soul.
All right, I'll end the broadcast there. Thank you, Dr. King. I learned a lot, really a lot of conversation going around diabetes and weight loss. So, I love to eat. So I'm really happy to have done this broadcast today, and I'm going to end it here.